Horrors found in dark web marketplaces. I'm expecting insane evil shit, and I hope I'm not gonna be surprised. I just watched some very evil people in that aren't that famous, so I'm in this kind of a mood right now. I want to be disturbed. I'm gonna hate it.
It's summer 2022.
But yeah.
And 27-year-old Reed Churchill is doing what he does best. Playing tennis.
What? Oh.
The Arkansas native has shaped his life around the sport, having won several major tournaments and even once finished in the top 70 in the Southern Division of the U.S. Tennis Association, a national caliber ranking for junior players. After studying sports management in university, he got a job working for the Summerhill Racket Club in Fayetteville, teaching tennis at every level. In this particular game, however, Reed would sustain an injury, one that we don't know the exact nature of. What we do know is that it left him with chronic pain. Seeking
I know how
relief,
that
he
is.
decided to turn to the internet.
I have a disc bulge. I've learned how to deal with it, but god damn it.
But not
Chronic
the
back
worldwide
pain,
web we
hate
all
it.
know and use every day.
Okay.
No. Reed turned to the dark web.
Of course.
He loaded up a special web browser called Tor, one that's capable of accessing the dark web, and
Yep.
found a marketplace. However,
I heard
he
of
had
it.
to make an account before he could see what was available, a lengthy process that involved mandatory two-factor authentication and even setting up PGP encryption. After about an hour of setup time, Reed was in, and he began combing through the listings, eventually settling on a bottle of oxycodone pills, a behind-the-counter painkiller commonly prescribed to those with acute musculoskeletal pain. He fills out a short form and then hits order, hopeful that the medication will help him feel normal again.
How would you even not be scared to like put your private information out there, as in, your delivery address, your bank account details, and all of this stuff to like pay for it? Like even using PayPal, I'd be fucking scared to do it.
Sometime later, maybe days, possibly months, Reed's father David arrives at his door. He rings the bell, but his son doesn't let him in.
What?
Concerned, he uses his key and comes in anyways. He calls out, but his son doesn't answer. He wonders if he simply isn't home. But that thought is soon erased when he walks into the living room.
Oh.
There, Reed is all splayed out, half on the couch, half on the floor. His skin is cold and his body is stiff. There's no question about it. He's dead. After an autopsy, authorities would find fentanyl in Reed's system. The pills he
Yep,
bought on
that's the issue with fentanyl. Like as far as I've heard, a lot of the stuff and a lot of drugs, you don't know if there's a lethal dose of fentanyl. You don't know how much there is in it, and so on. And something else related to some type of a drug that will just kill you instantly. And a lot of the times when you're getting drugs off of the dark web or just off of the street from random idiots, not from actual pharmacies and actual, prescribed medicine from your doctor, from hospitals, this is the shit that happens.
the dark web were laced with the incredibly dangerous substance.
This is what happens when you just don't get educated. You don't need to be an expert, just basic education. You don't even need basic education. You just need basic critical skills, critical thinking
It would
skills.
take a few years of intensive investigation, but the FBI's Joint Criminal Opioid and Darknet Enforcement Unit would eventually identify the marketplace Reed had ordered his medication from.
Okay.
A platform called Incognito, one of the largest dark web narcotics bazaars ever operated. It had been live since 2020, offering users all manner of illicit substances. There was one rule though: no fentanyl. The substance was simply too dangerous. Miscalculating a dose even slightly was enough to kill somebody. Still though, counterfeit meds that were nothing more than fentanyl-laced substances masquerading as legitimate prescription medicine was a problem on the site, and enforcement from the platform's admins on this particular issue was poor. Keep that thought in mind for later.
Okay.
The main admin on the site was a user named Pharaoh. Not much was known about him. The platform he had designed had security and
Probably some fat evil dude living in a basement somewhere in, like, I don't know, rural Arkansas. I don't know.
privacy
That's
ingrained
like
in
that's
every
what I imagine.
corner of it. But that wouldn't stop the FBI from finding weak spots. Specifically, authorities were able to trace several large crypto transfers from some of the market's known wallets to a personal account at a centralized crypto exchange. If you've ever dealt in crypto before, you'll know that these massive exchanges require a lot of personal information, even copies of passports and other forms of photo ID.
Yep.
This would end up being Pharaoh's downfall, whose real name was Rayxion Lin. He was
Oh,
a Taiwanese
this is not the kind of face I was expecting.
and was shockingly only 20.
I was expecting like a 45-year-old fat-ass dude living in a basement with a neck beard, stinking, smelling, never showered for like months.
Years old at the
That's
time.
what I was
He
expecting.
in 2024, meaning he was only 19 when he started one of the dark
St. Lucia in Taiwan.
web's largest drug markets. Sensing the authorities were closing in on him, Lin would execute an exit scam on Incognito. This is fairly common on the dark web. Most marketplaces operate on crypto, and transactions usually happen through an escrow wallet owned by the marketplace. Without any rules or regulations, and with the people operating these platforms being anonymous criminals, many dark web marketplaces end when the person operating them decides to shut
Why? Wait.
criminal.
This looks like XQC's logo for some reason.
Many dark web marketplaces end when the person operating them
It's just how it
decides to
looks.
shut
It
everything down
has nothing
and
to do
run
with
away
him.
with all the crypto in the escrow wallet. In Incognito's case, Lin managed to steal at least $1 million worth of user deposits according to the DOJ. But he didn't stop there. Despite claiming to have built Incognito with security and privacy in mind, Lin, in reality, had been secretly collecting all user data on the site,
Yep, that's what I said.
including private messages, transaction info, and order details.
Bro, that's what's happening on the normal internet, which is like the smallest part of the internet, what we're using right now. On the dark or deep web, yeah, no,
He
fuck
threatened
that.
to publish it all to the internet if vendors didn't pay him a ransom. It wouldn't matter though, because Lin would be arrested on May 18th, 2024, and authorities would seize the entire Incognito database he had copied, giving them ample evidence to go after and arrest the vendor that had sold Reed Churchill the pills that had killed him. His father David would give a tear-filled testimony at Lin's sentencing hearing in February 2026, labeling the day he discovered his son's body as the worst day of his life. He would look Lin in the eyes and state,
Remember this face while you're in a cell.
Minutes after David's testimony, however, something would be revealed that would turn this entire case upside down. A detail that would bring into question the entire legitimacy of the FBI's investigation. After David left the stand, Lin's defense attorneys would drop a bombshell. Lin didn't run Incognito alone. He had several moderators working with him, each of which had varying levels of power on the marketplace, which had moved more than $100 million worth of
Bro,
product
how does a 23-year-old end up in this kind of a situation? What
in
the
his
fuck?
lifespan. According to court filings, one of these moderators that allegedly held more power than the rest was working for the FBI.
See? I don't trust any politician, any government organization, nothing. So everybody online destroying each other because of left and right leaning politics, saying who is evil, boys, I'm a guy from the Balkans and I'm telling you right now, politicians, 99% of them, maybe all of them, evil, powerful people. Okay. Manipulating you, just trying to get into power, making as much money for themselves as possible. Maybe they'll do something good to cover up the more evil things.
That's right, the FBI had an informant high up in Incognito, and according to Lin,
They were essentially managing the site. They handled daily operations and every facet you would expect from an administrator lacking technical expertise.
Lin alleged that while he managed the technical side of the site, the informant ran the day-to-day operations, something supported in their communications with the FBI, with the informant themselves stating that they personally oversaw 95% of the transactions on the site.
Holy
In fact,
shit.
the FBI informant had the explicit authority to remove any vendor they caught selling fentanyl, but they not only chose
Bro,
not
how does a 23-year-old get in contact and be trusted with people like this?
to do that, but they even reportedly engaged in several debates with Lin on the issue of fentanyl, allegedly advocating to get the very dangerous substance unbanned from the marketplace. The prosecution
Why?
would argue that this was all necessary for the authorities to build a chain of evidence that would eventually lead to Pharaoh being unmasked and charged, and they'd also insist that Lin was the ultimate decision maker on the site. But the judge would express a decent amount of skepticism about why the FBI allowed the operation to continue as long as it did, after
Bro,
they
there's probably so much more that we don't know of.
already infiltrated the site's upper management.
Like, a lot of people that watch these kinds of videos and topics watch them with the mindset of, oh, we know this now and this is solved. No, there's always way more to it than the video says and that we know.
Lin's defense would state that this informant may have even had a role in the sale of the exact pills that killed Reed Churchill, but it wouldn't do much for Lin. He'd be sentenced to 30 years in prison, and as of July 2026, he plans to appeal, the existence of the FBI informant being central to
Right
his
now,
plan
it
to
is July 2026. Okay.
Picture this. A grieving father walks into a courtroom to confront the man responsible for his son's death. He delivers the most emotionally devastating statement of the entire hearing, and then has to sit and learn that the US government itself had an embedded agent apparently personally running the platform. What do you think his reaction may have been?
Me, I wouldn't be surprised and I would go crazy.
Don't know what went through David's head in that moment. He's
Yeah.
never commented publicly on the revelation of the
Yeah.
FBI informant. But we do know one thing. Dark web marketplaces have resulted in
An organization, a government organization that you're supposed to trust to keep you safe, ended up killing your son.
all manner of
Well,
horrors.
being one of the reasons why your son is dead.
And many of them aren't exactly what you would expect. The American government didn't just have an agent helping to run a digital drug marketplace. They were also the ones who created the dark web in the first place. Back in the 1990s, while the internet was exploding in popularity, the US government wanted to find a way to use this new technology to allow spies operating in foreign countries to phone home. The problem is, the internet wasn't secure enough for these sorts of communications, so the US Naval Research Laboratory developed something called onion routing, a technique for anonymous communication over a network that involves wrapping data in several layers of encryption that gets bounced between different network nodes, each one peeling away a layer of the encryption. This was and is the basic technology that the dark web is built upon.
Yep,
Websites
I've
are
watched
long
tons of
addresses
videos on
built
this.
from random alphanumeric characters derived from cryptographic keys, and they all end in the .onion domain.
Yep.
In the early 2000s, the US government would publicly release the Tor network, something we now call the dark web. If you're wondering why the USA would want regular people
Why?
using something like the dark web, the explanation was actually simple. If only spies were using something like Tor and accessing Onion websites, then it would be quite easy for foreign adversaries to discover them by merely looking for any and all Onion traffic. It didn't
Again, is this a simple answer? It is. Could it be the real answer? Sure. You're just not gonna tell me that there wasn't some deeper reason or more evil reason why they did this. Like, even if everything with this dark browser, this Onion, Tor stuff, whatever, right? Even if the original intentions were all good, when you create something very powerful that everybody can access, and it's meant to be for something good, it's inevitable. Then it's also gonna be used for the equivalent high evil by a lot of retarded evil people. It is what it is. This could change the world in a amazing, great way. It can do a lot of good. Or if it's capable of so much, then it's capable of the opposite as well. Because of humans.
matter if they couldn't read it or see where it was going. Just finding evidence of any Onion traffic would be enough to know that there was a spy somewhere. But that wouldn't be the case if everyday people were using the dark web. The increased level of noise would allow agents to blend into the crowd, and finding Onion traffic wouldn't necessarily be a digital paper.
In order to not put our agents at risk, we will put all of the humans using it at risk. But it's still your choice to use it, you know.
Trail leading back to some
It's still evil
foreign
that they,
operative.
you know, gave
So
us the
the
option,
US
but
government
yeah.
unleashed the dark web onto the world. And guess what it almost immediately became known for?
Human trafficking? Drugs? Probably both.
As you can imagine, there's a reason the dark web earned its name. The majority of onion websites are illicit in some fashion, with the biggest category of illegal websites being drug marketplaces. The second largest category, however, is illicit finance.
Oh,
Hydra is a marketplace that once operated in this category. While you could also find illicit substances here too, this Russian platform offered many other
dark
different
web is
categories of
basically
products,
a you know, a example of what would happen if you give humanity way too much freedom and power without governance, without rules and regulations.
stolen credit cards, bank credentials, forged
Too much of that is also bad. Come on,
passports, and
you know what I
even
mean.
physical cash, both counterfeit and real. The site also had a unique innovation. Instead of operating on traditional courier services like other marketplaces, Hydra instead operated its own dead drop system. Cladman, low-paid
Come on, man. Cyrillic writing? Someone Slavic? Come on, don't ruin Slavic people. Come on, I'm Slavic.
independent couriers would pick up packages and bury them in parks,
Cladman.
place them under benches, tape them to the inside of garbage bins. If you bought
Okay.
something on Hydra, you would receive a set of GPS coordinates and a photo of the hiding spot where your package was waiting for you.
Interesting. Just so if I ever see somebody in front of me just randomly going under some bench or some weird place and just, you know, getting some package. I mean, this probably happens in the middle of the night and nobody sees it, so yeah,
That
probably.
system made Hydra incredibly difficult for the authorities to prosecute. But just like Incognito, it too would eventually fall, being taken offline in 2022 after German authorities seized the platform's infrastructure. Between Hydra and Incognito, you can get a rough idea as to the source of offerings you can find on the dark web. It
Yeah.
mostly comes down to drugs and stolen/forged goods. But that's what you can find on the big platforms. The Goliaths that process millions or even billions of dollars and then eventually get taken down by the authorities. What about the smaller platforms? Are there websites on the dark web that offer a more niche selection?
Oof.
In mid-2026, open source intelligence researchers working for the magazine India Today would come across a strange set of websites on the dark web. They were all marketplaces, but they weren't selling narcotics or forged documents.
Oh god,
The
please don't
prices
show
for
me
these
pictures.
items were much higher, tens of thousands of dollars even.
Oh god.
What could cost
Is
so
this something related to humans?
much money on the dark web?
Human liver for sale.
Yep.
Human lungs for sale.
Oh,
Human heart for sale.
yo, I am getting goosebumps.
These sites were all claiming to offer real human organs.
I'm gonna
for
throw
exorbitant
up.
prices.
And I want to go to the gym after this. This is gonna ruin my day. Just please
The
don't show
global
me
illicit
pictures.
organ trade is huge, with 5 to 10% of transplanted kidneys worldwide being quote-unquote
I hope you watching and me watching this never ever actually get in the position to have to get a transplant. 5 to 10, that is insane. So you're telling me I could get there's a 10% chance of me getting my organ replaced by someone who's gone through evil atrocities, human traffic somewhere in South Asia? Because the guy we saw was from New Delhi, right? That's why. It can happen, you know, it can happen in Latin America, you know, Middle East, Africa, whatever, right? It can happen everywhere, but god damn.
illegally acquired.
God damn.
The intelligence
So you're telling me there's 5 to 10% of people living out there in the world that have gotten hair transplants, that have gotten organ transplants from human trafficked people, maybe even kids.
decided
Oh, I hope this video doesn't get like striked or something. Hey, this is just for entertainment. Well, horrible entertainment purposes and for educational purposes.
pose as a buyer seeking a kidney in India. They began the purchase process, and the seller quickly moved the conversation over to Telegram, the private messaging app of choice for organized crime worldwide.
Yeah, I don't
The
use that
seller
shit.
claimed to have what they described as a fresh harvest kidney, available within a 24-hour window, and later offered a live matching donor in Delhi, supposedly a 24-year-old male with O negative blood. The seller quoted the intelligence team $50,000, which they claimed covered surgery, hospital stay, airport pickup, and even donor compensation.
God damn.
The seller then demanded a $2,000 deposit in the form of Bitcoin to reserve the donor, with the remaining balance being payable after the transplant was complete. India Today would reach out to a selection of doctors who all said that no hospital in the country would be legally able to accommodate a procedure like this, and the likelihood of an entire hospital being complicit in a major crime like this was essentially zero. The researchers would continue to speak to the seller, who provided the name of a Mumbai-based urologist. That was
How do
the
you
end of
get the donator? Is it just a person that works with this dark web user, whatever seller, and they just, they just give it away for money? Or is it done in more effed up
information
ways?
drop, however, the seller wasn't going to give up anything more until they got their $2,000 in Bitcoin. The research team was able to match the name of the doctor given by the seller to a real urologist working for a private hospital, but they weren't able to verify whether or not it was the same doctor the seller was referring to. The India Today investigation was left without a definitive answer as to the legitimacy of these marketplaces, but the dark web monitoring and security firm Dark Owl would reach a conclusion about similar platforms back in 2023. They too would find several sites claiming to offer human organs for sale, for similar prices as the platforms India Today investigated. While they didn't contact any sellers, they were able to piece together the truth by analyzing the sites themselves. For one thing, many of them seem to state that human organs are viable outside the body for an entire year.
Hearts, kidneys, and livers, they claim that the organs remain viable for 1 year, which is scientifically impossible. Holy shit, and 5 to 10% of people that have gotten surgeries have ended up in this shit. Hopefully those 5 to 10%, hopefully, what am I saying? Most possibly 5 to 10% of those people are people in South Asia, Middle East. They're not from Europe and North America, right? Or Australia, right? I'm just not expecting somebody would have anyway.
A claim that is scientifically impossible. Moreover, many of these sites use the same stock images of organs. They also analyzed the Bitcoin address listed on one site. The total amount it's received in his life was $34,000, but it was currently sitting at $0 at the time of Dark Owl's investigation. The majority of transactions on that address were only between $1 to $200, far below the tens of thousands of dollars the items on the site were listed for. By the way, check out this screenshot they took. Why is this the image the platform decided to use? The listing is for a human heart from Central America. Is this some sort of mistake? In the same investigation...
This is like, it implies, just fucking do it. Don't think about it. Just YOLO it, Just, you need it, you got it, here it is. Don't complicate it.
And Dark Owl would also...
This is the type of vibe I get from that picture.
...cover a marketplace that...
Just buy it!
...to sell human meat. Apparently sourced from morgues and road accidents, according to the website.
What the fuck?
The conclusion reached by Dark Owl and other security firms who have investigated platforms like this is that the majority of dark web marketplaces claiming to offer human organs for sale are nothing but scams. Think about it. What's an easier operation?
Well, that gives me a little bit of, does make me feel better, but it kind of relieves some of the tension that I felt, Scamming people with regular beef. Bad, but, no humans were harmed. Just people were scammed out of a few $100s. Thousands.
Selling actual human organs on the internet, which involve incredibly complex logistics and sophisticated skilled work, requiring all manner of seasoned professionals, or just scamming people who are looking for organs out of a bit of crypto. That's the thing about the dark web. You hear all sorts of stories about the scary things you can find for sale, but a lot of it just isn't real. In fact, the vast majority of marketplaces on the dark web are outright scams. It's much harder to find a legitimate platform offering real things. In fact, sometimes you can't even be sure if the legitimate platform you're using is real or not. Because onion links are in the form of random characters, it's very easy to make a fake version of an existing platform to pass off as a real thing, with unsuspecting users not noticing that the URL is different. Yes, scams are the most common form of illicit activity happening on the dark web, but no scam has been quite as notorious and dangerous as hitmen for hire.
God damn. There is an insane storm happening. Like, it was like 100 degrees out, and now it's like insanely windy. What the Yo, this video just cursed me. Fuck! I should turn
The
off the
idea of hiring a
AC.
hitman through the internet is almost as old as the World Wide Web itself.
God damn.
In 1995, former Intel engineer Jim Bell wrote a series of essays titled Assassination Politics. It outlined a potential internet platform that could offer bounties on public officials, which would be crowdfunded by disgruntled citizens. A user could anonymously propose someone to be killed, offer a dollar amount, and could even make a prediction on whether or not the bounty would be successful, a precursor to the actual prediction markets that exist today.
So I guess, yeah, like the stuff like this, how do you scam this? Like, you pay somebody for like this to happen, and you still see the person alive? This is not a type of scam.
The assassination part of the platform
Is it too late to delete the dark web?
would never come to fruition.
Is it
In
possible?
2013, the platform outlined by Bell would actually be attempted by a dark web user calling themselves Kuwabataka Sanjuro, naming themselves
Whoa.
after the conniving Ronin
East
from the
Asian?
1961 Kurosawa movie Yojimbo. Their platform would collect bounties on public officials at the highest level, some of them
Holy
as
shit.
large as $75,000.
Oh yeah,
Sanjuro's assassination market
yeah.
would garner a lot
Actually, I didn't even think about this. A lot of these kinds of people that would pay for these assassins, you would probably get some in. Like, this would be a genius idea of like FBI or cops, whatever, high intelligent organizations, all of this, that would have tons of websites like this and just fish out these evil people. Just have tons of websites like this. They pay. They like, hey, assassinate this guy. They just get their private information. They just, arrest the guy. And of course, they research them. They, see into them. Maybe they've done some insane atrocities.
of buzz in the mainstream media, but
Maybe what I'm saying is very dumb, but yeah.
ultimately failed to lead to any known killings. Sanjuro would eventually cash out $1 million from the platform and then take it offline in 2018, rendering the
Okay.
entire thing a scam.
Okay.
That's how the story tends to go. A
Yeah.
site claiming to offer some sort of hitman service pops up, and it either ends up being a scam or some sort of FBI honeypot.
Yep.
The most
What I
infamous of
said.
these sites is a 2015 platform
Albanian
called
Mafia?
Besa Mafia. They claim to be the official online presence of the Albanian Mafia, providing services in every corner of the world. They supposedly offered everything from getting someone beat up to a professional ex-military sniper hit, an option suitable for anybody from CEOs to small celebrities, according to them. This is apparently much different than a basic hitman, which only costs $5,000. This cheaper alternative is supposedly carried out by
This
a
is the junior assassin that just got a job. He's still in training.
local gang member.
I shouldn't be
that,
joking about
quote
this.
unquote, did murder before. They even have the decency to avoid booking expensive hotels, and they don't even smoke at the scene of the crime. But keep in mind that they can only hit normal people. It's a little hard to believe that anybody could take something like this seriously. It
Yeah.
reads like something a kid would write. It wasn't written by a kid though. It was conceptualized by somebody going by the name of Yura. Believed to be an Albanian man living in Romania, leaked admin messages from the site would reveal that Yura once stated that the platform's secret purpose was to scam criminals out of their money and to report potential murders to the police.
Based.
Whether he intended to make good on that last part is uncertain, as in
Yeah.
2016, a cybercrime researcher named Chris Montero would discover the site, as well as several critical security flaws. He was able to get in and read every single customer interaction on the platform, over 3,000 messages. From this, he was able to extrapolate that the Besa Mafia had actually received 38 real and paid-for kill orders, complete with details and pictures of the potential victims. Some of these stories were incredibly disturbing, like that of John Musbach. This New Jersey man had previously been charged with a heinous and unmentionable crime in 2015. A year later, he would pay 40 bitcoins to the Besa Mafia to have his young
40
victim
bitcoins?
assassinated before he stood trial. He'd eventually be sentenced to 38 months in federal prison for the conspiracy. Over the next decade, Montero and his team would continue their investigation, uncovering several other hitman for hire platforms operated by Yura, each with their own exploitable security flaws. they'd eventually uncover more than 1,000 verified kill orders. In 2022, the Romanian authorities would crack down on the Besa Mafia, raiding 7 houses and arresting 5 men. It's unknown whether Yura was among them. Some of the hits uncovered by Chris and his team would lead to real legal charges being brought against those who had ordered them. Some of them would even foreshadow real murders. There is one case, though, in the recovered archives of the Besa Mafia that just doesn't make any sense. Brian Njoroge was a US military serviceman stationed in Kentucky. Born in 1996, he supposedly had a very active social media presence and was of Kenyan descent. In early June 2018, he was on leave and had booked a trip to Clarksville, Indiana, opting to stay in an Airbnb. Little did he know that someone had taken out a hit on him. On May 29th, a user going by the name Toonbib would contact an administrator on the Besa Mafia website. They transferred around $5,500 worth of Bitcoin into the platform's wallet and outlined that they wanted Brian dead. They attached a yearbook photo of him.
So you're telling me they actually... So we thought all of this time this was fake and just a scam to get all of these evil people that want somebody assassinated. And you're telling me this just happened? By the way, my lights are flickering because there's a storm outside. Very fitting for the video. I don't know how this happened.
Airbnb he was staying at.
Luckily, I'm not one of those one of those ghost existent evil spirits and all of this, guys.
That he would be there from June 1st to 11th. The administrator would respond stating that they would assign an operative and the job would be done in a week. But Toonbib would never respond. This would be the end of the interaction. On June 9th, a man walking his dog in Clarksville would notice something odd lying under the bleachers in a local baseball field. He'd walk a little closer to get a better look, only to find that it was a human body.
Oh God.
The police are called and the corpse is identified as Brian Njoroge. They'd run an investigation.
Yo, could you imagine? There's people out there in the world right now, like sadly, like Palestine and other places, where it is an actual norm, where you can actually get out, go out, walk somewhere, even though you know you shouldn't be doing that, but you've got life needs, and you see bodies, or a body, and you're like, yeah, this is normal here.
And would piece together that Brian had stolen a gun from a nearby shooting range
insane to me.
Day and had taken it to the baseball field to end it all. The coroner would then rule that the death resulted from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and the case would be closed within days. The lead detective would state that he had been aware of the hit bought on the dark web, but ultimately disregarded it as there was no factual evidence to suggest anyone other than Brian being involved in this case. The kill order wasn't the only suspicious piece of evidence. When the police searched Njoroge's home,
but why would anybody order a kill on him?
They'd find that his computer, camera, and 2 smartphones were all missing. They'd never be recovered. Neither would the bullet that killed Brian, which was never located by police. Even more questionable, however, was Brian's life insurance policy. It was worth $400,000, and just 1 month before his death, he had switched the beneficiary from his parents to a female friend. This friend has never been publicly identified, but many speculate that it could potentially be the Toonbib that ordered a hit from the Besa Mafia. They clearly...
Why? I need to know the history and reasons.
Knew intimate details about his life, right down to the address of the Airbnb he was staying at. There have been several other higher profile deaths connected to the Besa Mafia, like Amy Louise Allwine. She was the wife of Pastor Stephen Allwine, and in May 2016, the FBI would knock on her door to inform her that someone had bought a kill order on her on the dark web. She too would eventually end up dead, but in that case, it was revealed that her husband had not only
Yo, what do you do in that kind of a situation? Like, the FBI knocks on your freaking door and they're like, yeah, somebody ordered to kill you. I just want to live at the FBI, whatever place. Just put me in some place. Lock me up safely, please. I'd be scared for my freaking life. My family way more.
To murder her after realizing he had been scammed. Every death attached to the Besa Mafia more or less plays out in that fashion. Someone places a hit, realizes it's not going to happen, and so they take matters into their own hands. That is except for Brian Njoroge. He's the only death that wasn't ruled a murder. It's certainly possible that the police's official story about Brian could be true, But wouldn't it be a crazy coincidence if somebody paid thousands of dollars to take out a hit on him just 1 week before his death? Samuel Njoroge, Brian's father, maintains that the police investigation was fishy from the beginning, and he disputes their official narrative for his son's death. He's also previously stated that there's a number of inconsistencies between the police report and the coroner's autopsy, but those details have never been publicly revealed. Brian was buried in the Dallas-Fort Worth National Cemetery on June 19, 2018. No charges have ever been filed in his case. Tombib has never been identified, and the police ended their correspondence with independent investigators by stating, "We're done with this case." I'm curious.
God damn, bro, listen. Don't ever touch the dark web. Our private information is already being sold massively to huge corporations and to scammers and all of this by just using the normal internet and just being on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and clicking on random ads, you know? Just please, never go. Also, why isn't there like an outrage more in society, especially in the West, right? Where there's more free speech against this, against the dark web. Why would it exist? Why should it exist? But then again, if I'm being honest, since now it already, exists, I just wouldn't trust. I just wouldn't. If the U.S. government or any government said, yeah, it's being deleted, it's not gonna exist, I just wouldn't trust them. We have a society, as in almost all of the whole world, that's a low trust society. Especially when it comes to the government and stuff like this. I guess we're fucked. I guess there's no coming back from this.
Yes. What do you think happened here? Is this a case of a real hit being carried out? Or is the police's version of events true? Or is there some third possibility that hasn't been brought up yet? Let me know what you think in the comments.
Bro, Guys,
thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video...
I've got so many goosebumps. And it's... well, it's not that bad of a storm, but I gotta go to the gym after this. So, I live alone. And now I want to get like 5 Rottweilers. Just live in my small apartment, just to be sure. I'll probably go to the gym with them. Why not? Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Insane video, Pharaoh McGuire. Pretty cool name. And have a nice day.